And he was always telling my dad that he was going to go back. And my dad was always trying to talk him out of it. But on this particular occasion, my dad said he wasn't going to try and talk him out of it anymore. So what he said to him, he says, "No, Christy," he says, "if you're that anxious to go," he says, "I'm not going to talk you out anymore." But he says, "There's only one favour I'm going to ask of you." And in those days, everybody had railway goods carriages. You've probably seen them there on the video. And you might call them a ready-made shed. And my dad said to him, he says, "Now the only favour I'm going to ask of you is that you give me the 2 railway carriages." And Christy says, "Okay," he says, "I couldn't give you those," he says. "Joey might get the old tractor from Scott and he'd pull them to Westport." Now, he was a great storyteller, and he had lots of stories, and they all got on very well together, and they all helped each other out when they came up here, and they were all, I suppose, neighbours by chance, but we became friends by choice, and I think that still goes on to this day. Now, there's just one other man I remember. That was Pat Cranley, Paddy's uncle, Paddy Duffy's and Patricia's uncle. And he used to go for a pint with my dad and Eddie. And one day he called into our yard and he said to my dad, he says, "Ben, we might go for a pint tonight." And my dad says, "Well, I don't know now, Pat." He says, "I was up in Paddy Manning's last night with Barney, and that was Bertie McLaughlin." He says, "I had a few up there." And he said, "You know, I find it very hard to get an excuse to go out again tonight." And old Pack says, "Well," he says, "I'll give you an excuse, and you'll only have to say one word." And my dad said, "What's that?" And Pack says, he says, "Confections." So every second Saturday night, my dad and Eddie Duffy and sometimes John Garvin, and very often Paddy Kerrigan, they all went to confessions. And the confessions was always heard in Paddy Gallagher's pub. You young people would know it as the Lane Club. Now, that's where the confessions was heard, and that's where they got the absolution also. Now, I've gone on here for too long, but I just want to say it's great that you all turned out here tonight, and it was a big decision to come here 50 years ago. And am I forgetting anything, Jimmy? Oh yeah, the Westmeath people, of course. I say that we got on very well with all the Westmeath people, and many of them are here tonight. Of course, some ended up marrying them. And I remember Miss Gordon said in her short story that if the bloke, that we call us, if we were left Westmeath, if the natives left. Now, I'm not for too long. Say we're very lucky that here tonight we have 2 people from that great generation that made the big decision to come here 50 years ago, and it was a big decision to gather up lock, stock and barrel and move here. And those 2 people are Paddy and Mary Kerrigan. I believe young James Kerrigan has a little something for Mary. And also my mother, who's not here tonight, but I believe young Ronan Kenny has something that he's going to give to her. So, nothing really else for me to say, except if any of one of the families want to say anything, this doesn't belong to me. I'm happy to get rid of it. Thank you very much. Thanks. I just want to say that don't go away. The best is yet to come, because we have great live music lined up with someone that for 34 years played with Joe Dolan, and that is Frankie MacDonald. So the music will start very soon. Oh yeah, thank the staff of Bloomfield. All right, thank you very much. And of course, I just forgot the video. Jimmy, I'd like to give credit to Jimmy for putting the photos together. Enjoy the rest of the night.